Good evening, everyone. I'm going to call we have two things on our agendas tonight. We have a special finance committee meeting, which is to start at 7 o'clock, and at 8 o'clock, we have a special council meeting to cover a couple things that have come up. We're going to start with the finance committee meeting. I see that I am here, Jennifer Fenderbosch as well, and Kayla Goodwin is here, so we have all three committee members. The first item on the agenda is we also, if the clerk would just note the other attendees that are here as well. We have the approval of the minutes of July 6, 2026. Any additions, corrections, deletions to those minutes from the Finance Committee members? All right, seeing none, those will be approved as submitted. First item on the Finance Committee meeting is the Lorain County Community Development Block Grant Program Cooperative Agreement. Over the break, we received information that this item should be heard and determined by council. From the Lorain County Commissioners, we have with us Garvin Carrington. If Mr. Carrington would come forward, please, give us your name and title. And we can, I understand that you're going to be giving us a short presentation.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I will. Good evening, council members. I'm Garvin Carrington Matthews, the Community Housing Coordinator for Lorain County. I am the person that is responsible for the administration of our community development block grants. Okay, so part of that, Kleinfelder is our consultant, so they handle the day-to-day kinds of things. But with regards to the county, that is my major responsibility.
We have legislation that has been asked to be forwarded to council. If you could go over that legislation and tell us why the commissioners would like us to consider it and approve it, that would be appreciated.
Okay. Well, the legislation that's before you now is the official agreement, right, for our attempt to go directly to HUD for community development block grant funding. This is a program that we've been involved with for a few decades, and so it's nothing new. What is new is that last year HUD informed us that we have reached a size in Lorain County that would allow us, if there are enough participating jurisdictions and all that, to move forward and go directly to them instead of getting funding through the state. Right now, we follow the state's consolidated plan. If we were direct with HUD, we would have to develop our own plan here locally that will determine how we make community development investments throughout the county over a 5-year period. So it actually allows us to make some strategic decisions with regards to the infrastructure type things that communities need. And this infrastructure, by the way, is not a mega site. It is not a data center. It is not some very long sewer line running along the western side of the county. The infrastructure that is contemplated under CDBG is within neighborhoods, okay, where there is a preponderance of low to moderate income individuals. So when it's said that it can do infrastructure, that's the infrastructure that is being talked about in HUD's information or elsewhere. So, like I said, HUD came to us last year and said, you can do this. There certainly wasn't enough time when they notified us. We got that notification late in September, I believe it was September 24th, and we needed to respond by September 26th with our intention. So based on the recommendation at the time, is that we wait and qualify this year.
Excuse me 1 second. You've said "we" a couple times. When you're referring to "we," who are you referring to?
We, the county.
The county commissioners?
The county commissioners are and would be the administrators, okay, of this effort. But it requires participation from the communities, okay, the incorporated areas, other communities that are involved in terms of signing agreements and the legislation that's also before you to decide on. So it's a collective we, but as the office that has to process it and put things together, that's the small we I was talking about, not the big we, as in Lorraine County in general. So we started this process, and you would have received communications starting at the end of December. For the past 6 months, there have been a number of things that we have emailed to you as a council, talking about the urban county, a fact sheet. You also had a couple things with regards to our surveys, okay? The general survey as well as the stakeholder survey. And it is important that we hear from you through those surveys and otherwise as we are looking to develop the consolidated plan, because that's where local input gets involved to go into the strategic parts of that plan to help things guide decisions as we move forward. So the legislation that you have is for the authorization to be given to the mayor to sign off on participation by the city. Okay, that's the official legislation. I think some of you are familiar with CDBG. I certainly was speaking to the councilwoman here from Ward 2 just before the meeting started, and she talked about her efforts in helping one of your residents with this program. And we have done a couple of things with Avon Lake in the past, and certainly hope to help you with further development, particularly in the area that you have that is low to moderate income in terms of its preponderance. So that would be 51% or more in that census block group. So other things that we do with this funding. For most of the county, outside of a few of these cities, I know you and Avon, and I believe Sheffield Lake has an agreement with Neighborhood Alliance for your Meals on Wheels program. Right? We step in for the other areas of the county, with the exception of Elyria and Lorraine, because they already go direct to HUD for their funding. And we help subsidize the Meals on Wheels program throughout the county. Fair housing is an area in which these funds go towards as well, to assist people with fair housing complaints processing and understanding their rights and whatnot. So that is an essential and required part of the CDBG program, and we facilitate that. So every year there's, we certainly look at the numbers as to complaints and things like that, and try to look at ways to address issues. A component is the CHIP program. CHIP is something that is carved out at the state level from the allocation, and It's set aside as a separate grant. We get that grant as well from the state. While it is CDBG in its origin, it is specifically for repairs to individuals' homes and things like that. It does small repairs. And by small, I mean things up to about $25,000. Okay, so a roof can be done, and the replacement of something in the home could be windows, as long as it comes under that amount, and it's two things that can be done on a chip repair.
Are those in the same area as the 50% or more?
Yeah, well, they have to be,
In the
no, it doesn't have to be in that area. It could be anywhere within our jurisdiction. Okay, and in this case, anywhere within Avon Lake, where in that household, they meet the low to moderate income criteria. Okay, so it starts at income of about 58,000 or so for a one-person household, and goes up from there. The home program, which uses home investment funds, those are separate funds and are not CDBG funds. Okay? The state awards that also as a separate grant. Those two are sort of bundled together, and most people just refer to them as CHIP. But they're two separate grants, two separate programs. But that program can do the major renovations that are done around the county for individuals. That goes up to probably $75,000, $80,000 in renovations. So it can rewire, new roof, several of these items can be taken care of in one particular home, up to those costs. So those are the main programs and activities associated with the CDBG program. The Urban County Initiative, again, is about going directly to HUD. Currently, in the CDBG allocation from the state, we get approximately $324,000 a year. Okay, the current grant is a 2-year grant for $648,000. Okay, split that in two, that's the average. HUD, about 2 weeks ago, gave us a planning estimate, because they don't really tell you exactly what it is, because it's based on a number of things, including congressional appropriations. So since that has not been determined yet, what they've given to us is a planning estimate. That estimate is $791,000 a year. Okay. Would be coming to Lorain County, which is about 2.4 times the amount we currently receive from the state for the CDBG block grant allocation. So over a 5-year period, you're looking at roughly $3.9 million. And that is a vast difference to the 1.6 million approximately that we would get from the state over that period of time. Okay? And with the state, you can only plan over 2 years and do 3 projects in CDBG. So you have to make some very, very tough decisions. If we were direct to the federal government, we will not have that limitation of 3 projects. So if we had additional funds, we can make additional awards. And that is a key component, I would say, and gives us a great deal of flexibility in doing more with the dollars that we would receive. So with that, I would, end this and entertain any questions.
And I'm sure there'll be plenty of questions. Mayor, did you want to say anything before I go to council?
Yeah, I just, want to talk briefly about the project itself, because this helps low and moderate income neighborhoods through the rehabilitation infrastructure improvements.
Yes.
And so it's not only good for Lorraine County, which benefits us all, but it has an opportunity for Avon Lake to participate in
Yes.
some of this grant funding. We have an area you identified that is potentially qualifies for this. It's over 51%. And it's an area that we also have a high need for road rehabilitation. And so these are areas that we could potentially receive grant funding. We'd have to apply through the county,
Yes.
of course, and compete with everybody else. But
In the county only, right?
in the county
Now
only
we compete
versus the state.
statewide.
Right. And I think that is something we have not had before. For example, these street projects that we're looking at would not qualify for OPWC money, but now they would qualify for this if this goes through. So that's a huge advantage for us. And again, I would remind everybody, this has been approved by Sheffield Lake, Sheffield Village, Avon, North Ridgeville, prior to today. So I just want to say that he's done a great job of explaining everything, but I just want to kind of wrap it up a little bit with that.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions from council? Mrs. Fenderbosh?
Yes, I have a lot of questions. Thank you. Thank you very much for coming here and to talking to us.
You're
And
welcome.
before I begin, I just did a search under CDBG, and if that's how the emails were titled, we on council did not receive them.
No, it would have said, your emails would have had the words urban county within the subject.
Urban County, no, I mean, you said from December? We
December 30th, I believe, was the first email that was sent out in relation to this project. Now, the main thing started in January in terms of the notices and to let you know that we are contemplating applying for this program and other things.
Okay, so I wanted to go on, if I could. I just
Yes.
wanted to mention that, and I will take a look to see if we have
Sure.
received it, because the best way to communicate with us is to really through our council clerk, and either she or our
And
deputy clerk
the
will
clerks,
send it.
unfortunately, were not on that list because the lists that we have are of electeds with regards to this, and it must be sent to the electeds. And this is the second time that has been brought up about the clerk not getting that to pass it out to others. So it's something
So
that we certainly will
I'll
correct.
search when we're done, but I had a couple questions for
Yes.
you.
Yes,
So,
please.
so in the documents that we received, there's going to be a board that's going to be reviewing the applications, if this should go through. And there's an application from Sheffield, from Avon, from wherever, from Avon Lake. Are the commissioners the board that reviews them, or is there a separate board?
Okay, so throughout this process, there have been calls for transparency. And so we are going to put in place an advisory council, okay, that would advise the department with regards to the applications being received in particular. It may get other charges, other things to do, but so that board will see actually all of the infrastructure applications that come in. It will be constituted of a representative, though it's likely going to be a 5-member board, okay? So the thought is that there will be one representative that's nominated by the cities to represent city interests, one for villages, and one for the townships. In addition to that, there will be another member from the nonprofit groups within the county, as they also would have the ability to apply for these funds. All right, so we need to also give them a seat at the table. Then one other general member of that council.
Thank you. My next question has to do with participation. So if I read all the documents correctly and if I understand them, we need to have 200,000 or more to apply for this. And there are entities that did not choose to opt in. So with those that have opted in, and with the remaining one that hasn't voted yet, which is this entity, do you have enough to reach 200,000.
Okay. So there are two paths to getting urban county status with HUD. Okay. The first is to have participating jurisdictions in the consortium. It's not really a consortium, but in the county that are going to get your population count at 200,000 or more. Okay, so we in the county, the big we, our county has a little over 200,000 outside of the cities of Elyria and Lorraine. Okay, so under that, we would have needed almost all of the communities to say yes. And for HUD, the communities that are involved in that process are the incorporated parts of the county. Okay, so cities, villages, and the one home rule township, and that's Carlisle. So the unincorporated parts of the county aren't included in this part of the process. Okay. So that's the first route to get to 200,000. And you're correct. We did not get all of the cities and villages and Carlisle Township to join. Okay. The second route to acceptance, if you will, to become an urban county, is to first have that 200,000 population in the county. Then they will consider if the participating jurisdictions population numbers between 100,000 and 200,000. So first qualification is whether or not there are 200,000 people living in the area. Next, is it between 100 and 200,000? So that answer came back from HUD, and they said you can move on to the next phase to get the cooperation agreements signed, which is the official, yes, our community is going to participate. Okay. Now, there's another part of that calculation that HUD does that looks at the LMI population, the low to moderate income population. They're looking to see if 50 plus 1, or let's say 51%, for the easiest way of looking at this, or more of the low to moderate income population in the entire county, if 51% or more reside in the participating jurisdictions. And that, I think, is the last qualifier for this second route to getting urban county status.
Thank you. I have just a couple more questions.
Yes.
And thank you for being so detailed. I appreciate it. The next one has to do with timing.
Yes.
So in reading newspapers, I realized that the county commissioners have already voted to go along with this program. Is that accurate?
They've voted to submit the application.
To submit the applications. Okay. Because I saw that happening prior to the council
voting.
vote.
Right.
Here.
Yes. No. That's simply a procedural matter,
Okay.
where they're saying that once these documents have been collected, that our department, once it's signed off, can submit on behalf of the county.
And I also saw where a number of municipal mayors signed in May.
Right.
And that's prior to the discussion, the vote
Okay.
here. And I will look for those emails because personally, as prior council president, and I am on multiple committees, I never saw it
So
And I'm
your
kind of
email?
known as the research person here,
Yes.
along with others.
Right.
And I will continue to look, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
But I would tell you that signing, that was for participation letters. That was not an agreement that was asked of any elected official. It is something HUD requires to be sent to the CEOs of jurisdictions. And they make an election, but that is only used for a population count, for them to tell you whether or not you can move to the next step.
I only have one more question because I
Yes.
know my colleagues have questions. The last question that I have is, my understanding is that, as we talked earlier, I had a resident that I assisted through our community resource services to receive funds, and it was a lasagna of funds. Some of them came through directly from the block grant. Some came from other areas. If we were to go into this particular program, then that means, or does that not mean, that CHIP and home would not be accessible to us in the community resource services? Or is that outside of this program?
Okay. CHIP as a program is outside of the allocation. Remember at the beginning
Right.
I said it's carved out of the allocation
state.
by the state. Okay. So with the CDBG allocation, we can create a program that is similar to CHIP to help with doing repairs. The home side of things would require us to either be a direct recipient from HUD for the home investment funds. That is a different application, different process. Or we can continue to get home funds through the state.
Okay.
Okay?
So you're not going to be locked out.
Right.
We would not be locked out as a city.
Right. No city. The only. Okay. That locking out that I think you're referring to, and correct me if I'm wrong, okay? I believe what you're getting at is what happens if the community decides not to participate. Okay? So for jurisdictions that are incorporated, if you opt out by not passing this legislation, yes, you are locked out of receiving CDBG allocation. Yes, the citizens within your jurisdiction will not have access to a CHIP program or home funds if it's coming directly from HUD, right? So that's what I believe you're getting at with
Correct.
the locked out.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Quick question.
Yes.
If we decided not to do it this year, would we be able to get into it the following year?
That is an option that will be open to the non-participating communities.
So if we missed out
So
on
second year?
27, we could get in at 28.
You'd have an opportunity to apply.
Okay, thank you. Who else has any questions? Mrs. Goodwin?
Thank you. And thank you for sending the map and everything.
Oh, sure.
I
You're
appreciate
welcome.
that. But I did have a specific question about that map, and if I'm too nuanced on this, like, that's okay. I'm just trying to wrap my head around all of it. But
Yes.
the census for that area, a large portion of that is a private facility. Were they included in that population, like the skilled nursing facility, the rehab facility that's there?
That's a census question, and I don't know the answer. If they live there, they are part of a count. Okay, because a census counts people in places.
Sure.
Every 10 years, and it's only updated by the American Community Survey. So I don't know specifically that answer, but based on my limited knowledge of demography, that is how that would work.
So, because that's a privately owned area, that makes up probably the majority of that space, does that matter? If
No,
it were to be applied
because
for?
that is based on the census. If the census block group shows that that area is 51% or more LMI, then that area automatically qualifies as an area in which you can do a project funded by the CDBG allocation.
Okay, so
Okay.
even though it's private, that does not matter, it's still
That-
qualified.
and that
Okay.
is assuming that they included them in the count, and my guess is yes, they included them in the count.
Yeah,
So yes, it wouldn't matter, if they lived on this side of the street or that side, if that side is the private area. Once that whole area is deemed to be part of that block group, it automatically qualifies.
and this is the only block area in the city that can access these funds
Automatically for infrastructure.
for
Okay.
infrastructure.
Yes. All right. So your street paving, water lines, sewer lines, kinds of things.
Public,
Right.
okay,
Public improvements. So that's the automatic qualification. Second way to qualify an area is through an income survey. So if you have another neighborhood that you believe is truly low to moderate income and you want to pave that end of the street, and projects have to have a certain scope, and service area is really what it's called. And you limit the project to that area. You survey the area, and if that survey shows that it is low to moderate income, then the project can be green-lighted.
can you answer what low to moderate income is right now?
Well, it starts with a family of one being at $58,000 annually.
Is this the federal,
Yes.
is the
federal-
same scale?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And then lastly, if Avon Lake were to apply for a project, what preparation, what would be expected of us to put forth to get something done?
Okay. And I believe maybe the councilwoman here has experienced that before, but it's a fair amount of work, right? So it would involve communications with us, right? Right now, every 2 years, we have a CETUS meeting, okay? That session, we invite cities and villages, the areas that come under our jurisdiction to propose projects, right? So they come, they find out the rules, that deadlines when we need things back, so that we can make the grant application on behalf of the county. But specifically to answer your question, you need, first, of course, to define the project. The service area has to be defined. So if it's not within that block group that we talked about, then it becomes a little bit more difficult, right? You would have needed to have spent some time prior to that conducting an income survey to try to determine, and there are specific questions that must be on there. It can't be just, what's your income? So we would have to be assisting you in that process. Then you would have to do some preliminary work on engineering and things like that to determine, what's the need, right? And what's the cost? Okay, the projected cost of the project. What are the layers of funding you will be putting together to do this? Because in order for a project to be approved, it has to be fully funded, right? So you would have had to have done the work in terms of, are we going to get some money from the state? Using some general fund or some special fund that you have. It could be like a sanitary fund or whatever it is, but have those funding layers established. And, typically, some kind of certification would be needed. So your finance.
So you're working with like finance department, engineering department, you're
Right.
working with our economic development, our road project, like all of those things are consulted and,
Right.
okay, and then, I had one more question to follow that and it just escaped me.
We can come back to you.
And I'm sorry, but
If you
thank you.
think of it, just
I
raise
will.
your hand.
Thank you.
Mr. Kaz?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Council President. Thank you for the presentation.
Yes.
I have a couple of questions for you, sir. I'm going to have a couple of questions for the administration as well, too, on this.
All right, go ahead.
The first part, sir, is you had mentioned $791,000 and then for 1 year, $3.9 million over 5 years. Does that also include for the communities that opt into this? Does that also include Elyria and Lorraine?
No.
So that's
No.
$3.9 million for Sheffield Lake, Avon Lake, if we pass this, North Ridgeville, Avon, and the
Right.
West.
And the unincorporated townships.
Okay. All right, that's the first question. Thank you for the clarification
Yes.
on that. The second part, this is more of a statement. We're talking about this one area that does currently automatically qualify because it's above the 53%. Is that what it is? 51%?
Yes, it's at
Okay.
53.302, I think.
Yeah, so the one area that's been referenced a number of times tonight, I just want to read off the streets that are in this area for the people that are watching at home or listening. These are the streets that would be affected or be eligible for this funding if granted. And this is all south of Redwood and or north of Walker Road, these parts. Inwood, Delwood, Briarwood, Bel Air, Durrell, Timberlane, Canterbury, Moorwood, Coventry Court, Campus Court, and Town Center and Community Drive. So those are the areas for reference that we're talking about. Those areas, full disclosure, I live in one of those areas. That's Ward 4 and also Ward 3. Miss Gentry is not here, so that's her ward as well too. So that's very important in my decision making tonight is if there's funding available for our neighborhoods where we live, where our neighbors live, that's something that really needs to be considered a part of my decision tonight. So that is very important. The other part about this is we talked about the types of infrastructure projects that could be included on this, and I think in your email to Mrs. Goodwin, you had talked about sewer line rehabilitation, water line replacement, street paving, etc. for possible projects that could be funded there.
Yes.
Would that also include sidewalks as well too?
Yes, you can do sidewalks as well, okay? So again, it must be within that area, so the scope has to be limited in terms of the project, right? It can't be one where you're doing the other side as well.
Correct.
Okay, because if you do that, then the service area is greater than, and their incomes would be considered and would not be able to be funded. But yes, you can do sidewalk improvements and those kinds of things.
Right, and just as a point of reference on that, the sidewalks in that area, as an avid dog walker in my neighborhood, they're not good. They're some of the worst sidewalks that we have in the city.
If I could interrupt for 1 second.
Yes, sir.
It would also have a need to it, right, as well? the need
well-
would have to be there. Because I live on Durrell, but not in a part that I don't think needs new road repairs or anything along those nature.
Right, well, and that determination would have to be by the city, okay?
There would have to be a need though for the county to approve it, right?
It would make sense if it is needed because, if it's just, well, we're going to do this because it's in the area, you also have to take into account that other communities are going to be asking for this.
Correct.
And, if you have two projects and you have $200,000 available, and both are $200,000, which one do you fund? That's kind of decision.
Thank you. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, it's fine. I just have a couple of more.
Yeah, thank you.
One more question for you, sir, is you had talked about the advisory board, a
Yes.
5-person advisory board. If you said it, I'm sorry, I missed it, but did you say who is going to appoint that advisory board? Or how
No, I didn't.
Okay.
Because is going to be a local decision, okay? So there are associations for your mayors and whatnot. So there is where we anticipate the appointment of the person coming from to represent cities. Okay, the same for the villages, and there's a township association that can appoint someone as well.
Okay. And just my 2 cents on that, I mean, with 5 spots and I know you want to give fair representation to all that are participating, but I would just think that with the amount of people and places and probably need in the cities, almost 2 spots should be reserved for the cities, but that's my personal preference, and we'll see if we get to that point eventually. My last 2 questions are for the administration, and I don't know if it's Mr. Mayor or Mr. Esborn who can answer this, but the first question that I have is some of these projects that have been talked about are with regards to sewer lines. I don't know if there's been any feedback that we've had or recommendation from Avon Lake Regional Water on that, and then I have a second question as well too. But if we could talk about Avon Lake Regional Water and if they had a recommendation for the city on that.
Not directly, but I will tell you that one of the areas you highlighted, which is high on our list for roads being redone, which is Inwood, Bel Air, Delwood, Durrell, they just redid all the water lines in that area. So not likely that they would be participating directly. Those roads, however, after that construction, water line replacement are in really poor shape. It's an area that I believe, and we would certainly consult with engineering, public works, we would highlight for this type of program.
Right. And before I get to my second question, my final question, just want to state that before we went on recess, we had a series of meetings and discussions about the crucial need for capital funding in the city. And we're putting a ballot issue on. We ended up passing an issue out of council to reduce the credit that residents get, but also we put an issue on the ballot to hopefully pass a 0.4% income tax increase that would be dedicated for capital improvements, streets, roads, and all of that would be dedicated to that. For me personally, and as I've worked my way through this evening and thought more about this, I don't know how I could ask residents to vote yes on a 0.4% increase when I have before me an opportunity for some relief for some of these infrastructure improvements, whether we are approved from them or not, whether it's a small area of town or not. I feel like I need to be able to tell residents we are reaching for every possible dollar that we can apply for, every grant, every issue to lessen that burden on the city as a whole. If we can get some money to focus on this area, that frees up more potential money should the infrastructure or should the income tax pass for the rest of the city. So I don't know how those two things can't go together. I think they have to go together. But my final question is, and I think this is probably for Mr. Esborn or the mayor, are there any current or planned projects that could lose access to funding as a result of joining this urban block grant or urban county block grant? And this is the question that came from a resident.
Yeah,
today.
I would say no.
I would say no.
Okay. Thank you.
And I would also say no. CDBG funds are federal dollars. It is the only federal program that allows you to use it as a local match for other dollars, like other federal dollars, from the USDA, for example. Okay, so you can use these funds to match there. What you cannot do is use it to match other CDBG funds, right? Be it from the state or otherwise. Once that source is CDBG, you cannot do that. There are some limited areas in which it can be used with the home funding from HUD, okay? But there's also that opportunity for that. But this is the only source of funds. And it helps your community to count that as your local match, right? For OWPC funding, oh no, it's Public Waterways, right? OPWC, yes. There's so many acronyms that we use. So you can use this as a match to other state programs, anywhere you can find some grant funding. Essentially, sometimes private foundations give these things, and they require a local match. So CDBG can be used in that fashion.
Thank you. Mrs. Goodwin?
And this is kind of a hack question, hack comment. So is this kind of a win for the county to be able to, it helps us find potentially other funding sources also, or have access to other funding sources also when we have CDBG.
CDBG. Yeah, that's okay.
To match.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
To match those things. So it's kind of a good compounding mechanism for other
Right.
things.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is. And like I said, if you had a local award, let's say it's $100,000, and you had a 15% match, right? And and that 15%, was $150,000, and you had a CDBG award of $100,000. Then the city only has to come up with $50,000 in that scenario to get access to multiples of that in another grant.
So there's an avenues to explore even more funding opportunities outside
Right.
of this. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Reynolds, you had your hand up?
I did, thank you. Real quick, so under the current system, if we get a CDBG through the state, is that funding limited to a census block as it will be under HUD?
Yes, it's the same federal rules, okay, that we operate under now, that potentially we'll be operating under a direct relationship with HUD. The difference is we will not have the state rules in place within their consolidated and action plans. Okay, we will develop locally our own consolidated plan with your help and others, the public's help in completing the community survey to help guide that.
And those census blocks, those are just determined every 10 years, according to the actual census?
Now, in between the major censi, you have the American Community Survey. So HUD determines what's actually counted, but we hopefully will get the same data set to try to work with them on it. So that is to say that sometimes the American Community Survey comes out, but HUD has not revised their data set. Okay, and if that's the case, you have to go with whatever HUD is using. I guess, but if there's some major conflict, it may take some negotiations until they come out with something different.
Okay. And just, I mean, you mentioned earlier that if we determined there was another area that was in need, maybe for another project, you said we had to do a survey?
Income survey.
And we would be responsible to do that?
The city would be responsible for doing the income survey.
Excuse me, can you stay over by the
Oh,
microphone there?
yeah. Sure. The city would be responsible for doing the income survey. You know, we will help guide you in that process. You know, recently, this was last year, you know, we were working with Elyria Township. They wanted to do lateral within a neighborhood, and they didn't have a census tract. So, you know, we told them that well, this is the way to get it. So, you know, they either had to pay for a company to come in and do it. What these trustees did, all three of them apparently, walked the neighborhood where they wanted this project and surveyed the people themselves. Okay. Turned out we couldn't do the project in the end for a number of reasons, but you know, they did the work and got it done, right? So it is really up to the community to figure out how you conduct that income survey. So that was just one example of a community and how they handled it.
Thank you.
And I'm sorry
Mr.
for moving
Shamir.
around.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Carrington, thank you for the presentation. I've got a couple of questions.
Yes.
I guess I will start with reporting requirements. What are the reporting requirements under this for the city if
Oh,
we
the city.
for
Okay.
the city first and foremost?
Yes. Well, you're talking about under the urban county?
This is under this urban county.
Okay. So that would be dependent upon how you receive the funds. Okay. If you become a sub-recipient, okay, so HUD granting the urban county the allocation, then we give Avon Lake an award, a grant to conduct certain activities, right? If that's what's done, then you have a lot of responsibilities to do the environmental review, okay, which is a very lengthy, tedious process to determine, you know, whether or not a project can be conducted in a particular area. So you'll have to, you know, do things like notify Indian tribes and different things, okay? You would be responsible for the management of those funds in its entirety. We would be serving the role as the funding agency that will monitor those activities and do at least annual monitoring of the program, whatever it is that's in the grant. Right? If you have the role of simply a recipient of funding for a project, we will then assist and we will be the ones responsible for doing the environmental review and all of the other administrative tasks Okay, there are a number of administrative things that has to be done. I only mentioned the environmental review because it's tedious. But the city, in my first example, would be responsible for all of the administration of the funds.
So I guess the question that I've got is, if we join this consortium, let's say, and we are awarded X number of dollars to do a roadway project, is the county then responsible for the reporting? Or is it the city that's responsible for the reporting back to you and back to HUD? So that contractual reporting requirements, as I saw within the HUD requirements, was pretty tedious. Who's responsible? Because when you look at the funds availability and the reporting requirements,
Right.
there may be actually nothing there to do actual work. It mostly will go to management of a project, depending on what the actual
there are
dollar
limits.
amount is.
There are limits on the admin
Exactly.
that you can get. It costs more to operate the programs than you can really get in admin, which is why it's important for cities and villages to come together. The state even does this in its small cities program. They've encouraged communities to come under counties if you do not have a population of 50,000 or more to go direct to HUD. So the administrative burden is quite a bit, and so yes. So if you receive an award for a project, right, and it is not a sub-recipient grant, then we take on all of the administrative burdens. If you request and want to be the one responsible for putting it out to bid, following, sections, what is that? Is that 106 or 103? One of these sections of the Code of Federal Regulations, and do all of those things, you have to do that under sub-recipient grant. Otherwise, we handle those things for you.
So let me just ask, so if we come to you, you approve us for $100,000 on the roads in the area that's 53%. We go out to contract.
We will have to contract on your behalf.
So you will have to contract on our behalf to
Yes.
get that road done.
Yes. So that's the difference
Okay.
between being a sub-recipient.
Okay. So all the contractual obligations is also floating a tender, awarding a contract is with the county, not with
Right.
the city.
Right.
We just put a request out.
Right, you put the request in, but you also have to manage the project, okay? So
Yeah.
project management, in that case, would be with your engineering department, and getting the drawings done and all that. We would do certainly the grant management and administration things for you. So the bidding process will be handled by the county under that scenario.
I've got a couple more questions, if I
Yes.
may. I'm going to follow up with, so when you look at the map, we have an area which is 53.3%. That is roughly about 7% of the city of Avon Lake. That area makes up about 7% of the total city.
Population.
It's actually area. Geographic area is about 7%. So
Okay, yes.
So when we're looking at infrastructure, only 7% would be applicable to this program as it sits.
As an automatic,
Yeah, automatic. So
Yes.
unless we go out and recount and everything else. Now, when you compare this with the rest of the communities, how do we sit? Are other communities at the same ratio? Are they higher than 7%? Are they closer to 50%? So what I'm trying to understand is when it comes down
Sizing up the
to
competition.
selection, because when it comes down to selection, if we go back through the process of, oh, Avon Lake actually sits at a higher echelon and they've got more,
Yeah.
because we get that a lot. And
I'm not
if-
surprised.
No, but the thing is,
Right.
what is the benefit that we get? How will we compete amongst everyone else when we're only 7%? How do we compare to the
That
rest?
percentage at the end of the day is not going to matter. Okay, that's 7% that you're talking about. What matters is that most of the people living in that area are low to moderate income. So it doesn't matter if another community has 15%, okay, LMI in a particular, and 15% of the geographic area. Those two things should not be a consideration for the advisory council in making a recommendation to the department. What needs to be thought of is the project, what the need is, the urgency of doing it, right, in that fiscal year. Now, the great thing about the ability to try to go direct to HUD is that we would be able to. Oh my goodness. All right, sorry about that. I don't know how that happened, but obviously I haven't spoken to my mother in quite a while.
Well, I think you just did.
Oh, my phone just made a WhatsApp call. All right. So, with regards to that percentage and all that, that should not matter. What a decision should really be based on is the need for this. So, if you start thinking about this in terms of, well, do we do a sidewalk or do we replace leaded water lines? Okay. Those kinds of things should be what the decision is based on. The good thing about having the ability in going to HUD directly is that, one, we will not be limited to doing 3 projects every 2 years. Over a 2-year period, only 3, right? We can do more. Also, we will have the ability to do more long-range planning. So if a project doesn't get funded this year, we can slot it in for next year or the year after, depending upon what type of project it is, so that we will be able to do more different projects throughout the county.
Just as a follow-up to that, if I may, I've got.
Sure.
So when you look at that area, 53%, as Ms. Goodwin previously mentioned, that area probably is made up of mostly cared facility population. So there is a large cared facility where infrastructure utilization may not be primary to those care in the cared facility.
Right.
So how does that get evaluated in the decision process? Because if there is no, and my concern is a decision matrix that is clear, that allows everybody to compete
Right.
equally, not based on different criteria.
Okay. So, again, there should be no consideration, really, to whether or not there is a care facility within the block group. The block group qualifies. Okay? HUD has essentially made that determination because that is what they've said. Your census tract, and if you have to go down to the block group, okay, that qualifies if it meets a certain number.
And I'm just going to close it up with this final question. So over the past 3 years, under the CDBG funding scenario, what sort of amounts has the Lorraine County received? And has Avon Lake in the past 5 years received anything from those funds or been selected?
Right. Okay, so in the PY23 program, which we, pretty much have wrapped up now, there are a couple of lagging things, but actually on the allocation side, we did wrap that up at the end of last year. For those 2 years, the county received $570,000 in the allocation. Okay. The projects that were done, as I recall, Alameda 2 in Sheffield Lake. There was the paving of Carolyn, Luann, and Monica Streets in North Richville. And what was the third item? Did we even choose a third one? I wasn't here when that choice was made, but I'm trying to remember the things. But those two projects, I believe North Ridgeville had received something in the order of 120 to 150,000. Sheffield Lake received 250,000, I believe, in that allocation. To answer the second part of your question with regards to Avon Lake's receipts from the allocation, there weren't any projects done in Avon Lake because Avon Lake did not make an application for a project. Projects originate locally. The county doesn't come in and say you need to do a project in that area because that area qualifies for CDBG. Okay, the city or village must come up with the project. That's why you're invited to the CETUS meeting. Okay, so we say this opportunity is coming. We need to package this to go to the state for funding. Okay, so under the urban counties, it's going to be essentially the same thing, but it will be more ongoing because it's an annual process under the urban county versus every 2 years under the state's program.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I've got one last on
Yes.
that. So
Go
the
ahead.
next question is of the administration. So why haven't we applied for any of this funding in the past?
We don't, well, quickly, the last few years, we've had no capital money, so we wouldn't be able to do any project. And we wouldn't have any funding to complete the project.
Okay. Mrs. Fenderbosh.
It'll be real quick. So back in the day when I was working with Linda Blaschent, that was in your position, it was not for a citywide infrastructure project. It was for a residence. And the resident needed the roof, they needed the furnace, they
Right.
needed to have the energy
A
efficiency.
chip type.
Correct. They needed the energy
Project,
efficiency and
yes.
they needed to have the steps. And they were well within the low-income area. And at that point in time, the county had more applications than what they had monies to give out. And it was very fortunate for this person to receive those funds. It made her life totally different. They gave her what she needed to have a solid home. And it also preserved the neighborhood where she was at. And it
that's
wasn't in
the-
my ward,
That is the goal
but
of
we still
CDBG.
worked with them. So my question, I have two parts. My question is that still going to be available? And you said earlier, yes, because the state is the one that handles the chip side.
Okay, right. Under the state's program, the way that the state has designed its program in its consolidation plan, they do a CHIP program. So CHIP is, again, taken out of the allocation, whatever amounts of dollars. So in the urban county example, we would need to carve out from that $791,000 something to run a CHIP type program.
Right. I just
For
want to make sure they
small
heard that.
repairs.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
The big things under the home investment funds. Great.
The second part you will like. The second part is I did search then under Urban County.
Okay.
And the email came from Dave Greenspan.
Yeah,
And
they-
it was
some would be-
January 27th, 2026. And the way it was stated was very clearly, the Lorain County Community Development Department will be scheduling individual meetings with each political subdivision to discuss the urban county designation and application process as defined by the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development. So that's on me for not seeing it. So thank you, sir.
Sure.
Thank you. Mrs. Goodwin.
Really quick. I did watch in its entirety the North Ridgeville City Council meeting, and one of the council members did have a comment that said that they took a different approach and they reached out to one of the another county who's
The
been
neighboring counties?
other urban counties, and
Right.
there
Yes.
was the only negative comment that he heard was that there's just not enough money. But it's been a successful thing for their communities. And then secondly, I think we just need to start putting on one heck of a marketing campaign for our areas that need it. It's kind of the bottom line.
All right, thank you. Mr. Reynolds, you had your hand up?
I did, thank you. Real quick, and I'm sorry if you already answered this. So
That's okay.
if Avon Lake were to opt out, currently CHIP is run through the state. And then
It's a
once,
state program that has to come through us at the county for the areas outside of Elyria and Lorraine. Those two cities get their own direct funding and have their own programs.
so regardless of the outcome this evening, that would still be available to Avon Lake?
No. So, with our current grant program, okay, that we are going through right now, the PY25 program we just started, the state has told us that we have to finish out that grant, right? So that would end at the end of 2027, okay, the state CDBG program. For communities like Avon Lake, again, if you decide that you will not opt in, there will be, you would have the right to go to the state to see if the state will allow you to get into their small cities program, okay? You would have to take on that responsibility. So, you know, if they allow you to, as I was explaining to the councilman, you know, you'd have all of those administrative costs, okay? With regards to your residents, okay, so this is assuming the urban county is formed and is operating next year and beyond. Once the state's program has completed, your residents would not get access to any CHIP type program, any home type program, unless the city is able to make some kind of arrangement with the state. That would be the city's responsibility to take that on. You currently have an agreement with Neighborhood Alliance for your Meals and Wins. So those services will ostensibly continue that way, right? So your community will not be affected by that. In other communities where we are part of the funding stack for the meals, and they opt out, those communities will have to have an arrangement similar to what you currently have here, and you know, make whatever payments to Neighborhood Alliance to supplement their other sources of funding. Okay, and that's a decision, you know, that is going to be entirely local. that will not involve the county administration. So those are, the I guess, the drawbacks, if you will, of opting out when you are an incorporated area. Okay, the unincorporated areas, that does not apply.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you. Any further questions? Mr. Carrington Matthews, I got one more question. Sure. Mr. Liskovic.
A couple things came to mind as you're giving your presentation. First and foremost, and if I missed it from earlier on, I apologize. You mentioned Elyria and Lorraine have their own,
They have
essentially have their own deals.
direct funding
Right.
from HUD.
Would they be then absorbed into this urban thing, or would they stay separate?
No, they retain their entitlement status. Okay, the urban county is an entitlement status within HUD. Okay, so those two cities are what HUD calls metropolitan cities. We, as an urban county, we're joining that same program to receive direct funding. We're just deemed to be an urban county and not a metropolitan city.
Right.
All
And
right?
so therefore, they would not be eligible for the funding that the rest of the communities in the county are eligible for.
Well, they aren't right now, because right now, we do not fund things within the cities of Lorraine and Elyria, with the exception of county-wide services that are done, like a homeless shelter. Okay, we have only 2 in the county. Both of them are in the city of Lorraine. So that is an area in which, because the homeless and the prevention of homelessness is one of the national objectives of HUD. Okay, so special considerations are given for that. It's not based on location.
Right.
It's based.
Okay. Thank you. And then the other question I had, and maybe this is early on into the process for you guys, has the scoring criteria been created for awarding grants and how that's going to look?
No.
Okay.
It has not, because one, the consolidated plan has not yet been developed.
Okay.
Okay. The stakeholder survey, which you would have received via email, that we, at some point this month, our consultants will be taking the results of that, as well as the community survey. And they will be helping us craft the consolidated plan, because that has to get submitted in a couple months from now to HUD. Once we pass this phase of things, they tell us that we can move on or not to the next step. Okay, so no, that has not been crafted yet. The advisory council that I talked about is not something that is in place. It is something that we intend to put into place to help with improving transparency and also helping with the decision-making on this, right? Because, these are tough choices to make. And if you can have, another group of people looking at it and making a recommendation, okay, that, we see that it's only helping the process.
All right.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Liskovic. Mr. Carrington Matthews, thank you very much for your presentation. We'll be reviewing this and deciding this matter in our special meeting right directly after we finish up our Finance Committee meeting. Thank you very much.
Sure, you're welcome.
All right, next on the Finance Committee meeting is the Walker Road paving project, Phase 6 Construction Management Administration Contract. Who's handling this down on my left?
I am,
Oh, I'm sorry. Go
unless
ahead.
John wants to.
Well, I thought that,
You can start.
Okay.
go ahead.
Okay, so the Walker Road project that we have some state funds for is going to be taking place, and this is from Jaycox through the intersection of Lear. And with that project, we need to have inspectors, and the inspector contract are going to be, is on the agenda for the next meeting, and the inspectors, they need to know that we're going to be contracting with them, that's why it's on a special. Otherwise, we'll lose them and we'll lose the timing of the job, and everything has to be controlled by the state as for the timing. I think all of the council members have received the memo from John Liskovic, and I'm going to actually turn this over to you, John, so that you can go through the finance part of it, since it's the finance meeting. Thank you.
Mr. Liskovic.
Thank you. I apologize, for some reason my tablet won't open the attachment. Yeah, maybe.
Do you want me to give it to Mr.
Sure.
Levisi?
Whoever.
Please?
Yeah, the memo. That's what I'm looking for.
No, he's got it. He's got the mayor's.
Technology has failed me this evening. So essentially, what I did is just kind of put together a snapshot of the process that was behind us getting the funding and getting the point to do this rehabilitation project. It's essentially started in 2024 with an application to Ohio Public Works Commission. As highlighted, we put in a request for we put in project costs just over $1 million, which included design, construction, and the contract administration and inspection services. We were awarded a combined total of about $400,000, $275 in grant money, $125 in zero interest loan money. With that, we went ahead and did in 25 we did design and geotechnical services, which was budgeted for $95,000, and spent just over $87,000 to get those tasks completed in preparation for going out to bid, which was done earlier this year. And the project was bid out accordingly and awarded actually while I was on vacation. So with that, for this year, we had in the budget just under $1 million, which included funding for the inspection and administration component along with construction, as was illustrated by the bidding process and the award of bid. Construction costs had gone up more than we had originally anticipated and factored in. And I believe Engineer Levis and conversation I had with them kind of illustrated some of the reasons why those costs had gone up and escalated. We had projected about just under $80,000 in our application for the administration services, and then the proposal from K.E. McCartney, which Engineer Levis solicited from them, came in at just a hair over $81,000. So with that, that's kind of the breakdown of the funding. I've been in conversation with Finance Director Crossy too, with the funding needs that she'll cover in the September budget adjustment.
Thank you. Any questions from council on this?
I would like to be very
Well,
detailed.
hold on a second. I asked if there's any questions from council on this. Any questions from council? All right, Mrs.
Thank you.
Fenderbush, you want
I
to?
would like to be very detailed for the audience and for those at home. So just like it was stated, OPWC combined funding was $400,000. The local funding in the 2026 budget was $584,536.05. The paving contract came in at $1,131,639.20. This particular project that we are going to have before us on on the agenda for the next meeting is at $81,728.02 for the administration and the inspection. That brings in the need for a transfer of funds and adjustment of $228,831.17. So my question would be mostly to the mayor, since Ms. Crossley is not here. Has there been a source identified for the transfer of those funds?
Yeah, she has identified we have funds available, and that'll be in the September budget adjustment.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Any further questions? All right. Next, I'm going to move on to the exercise of eminent domain authority to acquire 850 Center Road in the city of Avon. Mr. Matty, if you want to come forward. Aren't you here for that? I'm sorry, Mr. Logan. Sorry.
Mr. Logan.
I apologize.
No problem.
I wasn't paying.
I'm with Avon Lake Regional Water. So Rob and Mr. Monroe, Mr. Urinich are both on vacations, not together, but separately. So no, they called a special meeting with the Board of Municipal Utilities last Wednesday night to pass a resolution. We've been trying to purchase this property. It's for to upsize and put in a new transmission line. This is what we call our ETL1 line, Eastern Transmission Line number 1. It's a 36-inch pipe. It feeds Avon, North Ridgeville, rural Lorraine County water. I'll take a lot of water last year, 1.2 billion gallons of water off of this line. The line's experienced a lot of breaks in recent years, and we're constantly out fixing breaks. So this property is necessary to not only put in a new transmission line, but there's thoughts of putting in a tower, an elevated tower there as well for Avon Lake. There's been negotiations ongoing with the property owners for over a year. We had an appraisal done. It appraised at 1.1 million. Our last offer to the property owners was 1,275,000. They claimed they wanted 1,450,000. That's kind of where it stalled, and Mr. Monroe and the board felt like, okay, let's just go to that next step and try to exercise an eminent domain proceeding. So that's kind of where we're at. We're asking council to pass a resolution, pass an ordinance to allow that eminent domain to go forward.
Thank you very much. My apology again. Any questions? Yes, Mr. Kaz.
Yeah, thank you. Just for the public's knowledge, this location, 850 Center Road, Avon, that's the old Dog Leash Garden Center.
Correct.
Just
It's
over
Dog
there.
Leash is the property owners. It's in a trust. It's just on the west side of 83,
Yeah, just over the tracks
just
into
over the
Avon.
tracks. Correct.
Was there any, because this sits in Avon, what did Avon's city council have to approve?
Mr. Monroe
was there anything
asked.
that they needed to do?
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
No, Mr. Monroe asked that we get support from both Avon, North Ridgeville, and rural Lorraine County Water. He had sent them a request asking for a letter of support. Avon's superintendent of utilities, Mr. Brian Bruce, signed off on it, as did Mr. Joe Waldecker. He's the general manager of rural Lorraine County Water. I don't believe Mr. Bruce took it to Avon's council for anything. I don't think there's any real reason they would have to be involved. North Ridgeville, at this moment anyway, did not sign off on the letter, but
Okay, so I guess my bigger concern was Avon's aware of it, Avon supports
absolutely,
it. Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
Any more questions from council? Have you guys figured out a budget at all for attorney's fees on this action?
For attorney's fees on
For the eminent domain action, yes.
No, we have not. Not specifically. I know Mr. Monroe's been in contact with Mr. Ebert about it, and I'm not sure if it's him and his firm that would handle, I believe it is, that would handle the eminent domain proceedings.
All right. Any other questions? Yes, Mr. Shamir.
I guess mine is more educational than anything else. So, City of Avon Lake Council then votes upon eminent domain of a property that sits in Avon?
As I understand it, yes, I mean, it's for the utilities department. to
That I
own the
understand,
property. Yeah.
I'm just wondering.
So, I mean, if we're gonna be owning it, which the city basically ends up owning it. as
It
opposed to
runs through
utilities.
Avon now. The
Wait, the
eastern-
property
Both
does.
transmission lines run through Avon, North Ridgeville, and further south, the eastern
So
ETL2.
there's a clear need for it, and that's the key to an eminent domain action. I think advising Avon is as much a matter of courtesy as anything else.
And again, they take an enormous amount of water off of this line.
Mine was just clarification on us taking action on eminent domain in another city. I'm just trying to understand it. So-
Yeah, because we need it for the water line. That's the basics of it. Yes, Mrs. Fennerbach.
So an easy way to say it is that the board, that the Avon Lake Regional Water Board that takes care of the day-to-day decisions and the authority within the utility, because it is an Avon Lake asset, that's the reason why you're coming to the council for us to do what we're doing. And it doesn't really matter where the location of that line is. It's a management decision. It is a legal decision with the entity, and the utility. Would you say that's the reason?
Yeah, Avon Lake Municipal Utilities Board called their special meeting a week ago, passed a resolution very similarly worded to the one in front of you tonight to proceed with the eminent domain proceedings. And it is an Avon Lake asset, but it truly is an asset of this consortium, the ETL1 consortium, which is Avon Lake, Avon, North Ridgeville, rural Lorraine County Water.
So we're the only one that has to vote yet. Everybody else is good.
Correct.
Thank you, sir.
Mayor?
Yeah, Mr. Leary, I just want to clarify for the public and everybody else, the funds for the legal portion of this eminent domain will come from the enterprise funds of Avon Lake Regional Water, and not
Yes.
the general fund of.
Oh, that's correct.
wanna make sure everybody's
Maybe that's
aware of
what you
that.
were getting at. If so, I apologize. But yes, they would come from Avon Lake
That's
Regional
not really
Water.
what I was getting at.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, anything else on this? All right, and that's on our special meeting agenda as well. All right, thank you. A couple other items on, for Finance Committee. Mayor, you set forth the 2027 fiscal budget calendar, if you wanted to go over that very quickly.
Sure, just really quickly, our departments are currently working on their operating budgets. They're due in to us by this Friday, the 7th. Capital budgets are due in by the 21st, and then the first and second week of September, we'll be going through those with our staff. And then we will begin the council budget work sessions that we normally have on Saturdays, those three. And let's see, with the idea of getting the first reading before council on November 23rd, the second reading for the budget on December 7th, and then, of course, our last council meeting of the year, December 14th, it would hopefully be passed at that point.
Thank you. Any questions on the schedule for the budget calendar? All right, next, Mayor, you did send out to everyone the local government distribution estimates.
Yes, so this is money that Lorraine County gets and then distributes to the municipalities. Avon Lake is going to be receiving $502,272.91, which is a slight increase over our allocation from last year. So that's good news, at least it did not go down.
All right, any questions on that? And then the last, or not the last, but we did get the RETA income tax for August, and we're down 4.315%, heading toward down 0.45%, which is around $550,000 in collections through August of this year, so that everybody's aware of that. The last thing I wanted to bring up in the finance meeting was that there was a meeting of the Recreation Commission on Monday, and that we're going to be looking at the anchor facility and the lease coming forward that we're not able to do, and whether that we're going to be able to fiscally support some type of public-private partnership with the anchor. So I just kind of more wanted to let council know that that's coming than really to discuss it in any kind of great length. Any other questions or, yes, Mayor?
Yeah, I just want to add, since this is the Finance Committee, we have conducted 3 finance director interviews, and we have a couple more planned this week. Our closing date, I think our applications are about mid-August. So as of now, we've got 5 applicants we're interviewing, and there could be a couple more, but that's where we're at currently.
Thank you. Any questions from anyone? All right, next is public input. You have 3 minutes, members of the audience, to come up and speak to items that were on the agenda during the Special Finance Committee meeting. Anyone in the public wishing to come forward, please state your name, the city you live in. Good evening, Mr. Phillips.
Gerald Phillips, Avon Lake. In connection with the urban designation, they have to meet under the second option, the 100,000 plus the preponderance test, which means 50% or more has to meet the LMI, low moderate income. And for example, Avon Lake, medium income is 118,000. Avon is about 125, North Ridgeville is about 95, so that means 50% is above those numbers. The low moderate income from one, as he said, is 58. For a family of 4, it's 84. So it's really uncertain whether they can qualify or not. In the ordinance 2672, the statement that says it's going to be 3 to 4 times more is totally incorrect. I mean, he's using a number of 324 and saying 791, that's 2.44. But they received in 2025 722 in CDBG grants. And according to Andy Coleman, who is the Urban HUD coordinator for Lorraine County, it's projected to be 790, which was in 76, and that's what's expected for 2027. So that's totally incorrect. It's not going to be 3 or 4 times. It's going to be approximately the same. And if you look, I gave you information of how the allocation of the CDBG grant funds are done. Congress appropriates X money. 70% goes to the entitlement programs, and that's divided among 194 counties that are urban and all the metropolitan cities in the United States. Elyria, Lorraine, Cleveland, Parma, and all the states. So look how much 70% is going to be divided by. Whereas in the non-entitlement, which goes to the state, that's 30%. And that's divided by 50 states and then by 88 counties. So if you work out the numbers based on an average, it just doesn't come out. We could have been getting grants, and that's an interesting comment. You know, that's because our economic development director hasn't applied for grants when they were eligible. And Mr. Reynolds hit the right point. Nothing's going to change if we stay in the state or the county. The eligibility is going to be same. The matching is going to be same. The only question is who's going to run it? 3 commissioners or the state of Ohio? And I gave you information about what's disadvantage. Can I have a few more minutes?
You can have another minute.
Oh, thank you. I gave out what's a list of advantages and disadvantages, and I hope you read that. And as far as the reporting requirements, Mr. Schumer asked about some things. I think you need to look at paragraph 7, 8, and 9 of that cooperative agreement to see what the reporting obligations are. And I think that covers it. Thank you very much for the additional time.
You're welcome. Thank you. Welcome. Good evening, Mr. Zimmerman.
Good evening, William Zimmerman, beautiful Avon Lake. So I attended the North Ridgeville meeting, and I listened to discussions similar to what y'all have done. They didn't have a presentation or someone to answer questions. But they've received grants in the past. I spoke to the mayor there, and he was talking about how they've gotten like 120,000, like y'all were talking, and that it was useful. I'm not disputing that that's going to be the case. My only problem here in Avon Lake is I'd love a copy of the map that they all of a sudden shows where these different places on Bel Air and Durrell and all of that, so that I could see and get a better picture. And I'm trying to understand, is that partly because it backs up against the nursing home and there's people on fixed incomes back there? So I'm trying to understand how it got to this dollar amount. So if I could get a copy of that, I'd be grateful. And the other thing that I just wanted to say, I'm not sure if it's a benefit for the city of Avon Lake. I don't know if the commissioners are just pushing so that they can get more money into their coffers and have better control of it. Because I'm sure you all know that they're under investigation by the sheriff's department. Boxes and boxes of documents and stuff were taken. And from my understanding, there'll be indictments handed down. So are we still wanting to trust the same people? That's all I need to say. Thank you.
Thank you, and the mayor did provide me with a map.
Thank you so much.
There you go, thank you. Anyone else wishing to come forward? All right, seeing no one, I'm going to close I'm going to adjourn or I'll look for a motion to adjourn the Finance Committee meeting.
So moved.
Please, and I'll do the roll. Myself, yes. Mrs. Fenderbosh?
Yes.
Mrs. Goodwin?
Yes.
All right. The Finance Committee meeting is closed. Does anyone need a minute before we go into the special meeting? All right. Seeing none, I'm going to open the Special Finance Committee meeting for the City of Avon Lake for Avon Lake City Council for August 5th at 8 o'clock. We begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Shamir, if you'd lead us, please.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Shamir. As this is a special meeting, only the matters on the agenda are to be considered. There's no public comment, and I'll begin with legislation, or we'll begin with the roll call, please.
Mrs. Fenderbosh?
Here.
Ms. Gentry? Mrs. Goodwin?
Here.
Mr. Koss,
Here.
Mr. Reynolds?
Here.
Mr. Shamir?
Here.
Mr. Smith?
Here.
Mayor Spetzel?
Here.
Law Director Ebert? Public Works Director Liskovic?
Here.
City Engineer Levis?
Here. Thank you. Ms. Gentry is still on the council break. We did our best to have as many people here for this meeting as possible, and that's why it was scheduled for a Wednesday. Legislation, if the clerk would read by title only, resolution number 26-72.
A resolution authorizing the City of Avon Lake to participate in the Lorain County Urban Country Program and authorizing the mayor to execute the HUD cooperation agreement and declaring an emergency.
I move for the suspension of the council rule requiring 3 readings. Please call the roll.
Mr. Koss,
Yes.
Mr. Reynolds,
Yes.
Mr. Shamir,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mrs. Fenderbosh,
Yes.
Ms. Gentry's not here, Mrs. Goodwin.
Yes.
All right, that has passed 6-0. In discussion, we've had this discussed during the special finance committee meeting regarding the HUD cooperation agreement, unless anyone has any other comments on it. Yes, Mr. Koss?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Council President. There was a lot of information given today, and as I was flipping through the Finance Committee packet, I was looking for the minutes from the last meeting, and I should have mentioned this during the Finance Committee meeting, but I didn't. And it's in the minutes for last month's Finance Committee meeting, but the mayor reported on the condition of the city roadway network and stated that major thoroughfares like Lake Road and 83 remain in good condition, but then he stated many residential streets require significant rehabilitation or reconstruction. Examples he identified included, and these are listed in the minutes. And these are included in the section that we've been talking about all night tonight that qualifies automatically if this is approved. Delwood, Inwood, Timberlane, Tanglewood, those four. Those four are the part that he considered to be, or that we were identified last month as needing significant rehabilitation. And those happen to fall into the area that would qualify for this type of funding. So I just wanted to have that on the record. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Shamir.
Yes, I actually took a drive through that area, and the one thing that I'd like to state is doing this is an action, but having a strategy is a requirement, I think, so that we actually are able to interface and tap into the funds. And it requires being in their faces, asking for the funds on a regular basis, not just, okay, we'd like to have it, we're gonna sign this off. Because we're gonna hold your feet to the fire as well. This is not a free ride because only 7% falls into it. We're actually looking for funds to be allocated to the city of Avon Lake. And from what I understand, this thing is 3 years with an optional to renew. So if we give notice, that goes away. Is that correct? Is that based on what I've read? Within 3 years, we do have an option to opt out.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Anything? Yes, Mrs. Goodwin.
I did take a peek at the survey over the time because it is still open. Is that
Yes.
okay? So maybe council, if everyone wants to
Yeah, I think we ought
look
to
at that.
make sure
Okay,
that we
yeah.
all participate in the
One of
survey.
the questions on there, which kind of raised a point for me that I had actually discussed with the economic development director, or I'm sorry, community development director, last week was, is there an opportunity for funds to be used towards, and maybe not necessarily the CDBG, you know what I'm talking about, those funds to be used towards something like economic development or resurfacing of businesses, those types of things. Like what, if we're not going to, if it's not infrastructure related, is there an opportunity for something else to be explored?
Mayor?
I would turn that over to Mr. Carrington to answer.
With regards to businesses receiving funding out of this, that is not contemplated under the CDBG allocation necessarily, okay? And I say that because you can define a program, okay, as long as the con plan, we call it con plan for short, the consolidated plan, has that as a possibility. But many of you have heard about the revolving loan fund, okay? That fund is something that the economic development section of our department administers. Its funding comes from CDBG, okay? So currently, the state used some of its CDBG funding to set up the revolving loan fund statewide and had given to Lorraine County something in the order of $500,000 in the revolving loan fund. if we become an urban county, we would need to start setting aside funding, if that's contemplated under the consolidated plan, to have a revolving loan fund. Those funds can be loaned to a business based on the need for, the completion of their funding stack. It's not, Walmart would never receive that, right? But that is tied to hiring low to moderate income individuals. Okay, so there's a certain ratio that has to be achieved.
Okay, thank you.
So there is an economic development.
Development component, yes.
And if we were to opt in or out, what is the trade-off of that?
Well, if you opt in, the businesses within your community that need that funding will have an opportunity to. If you opt out, they will not.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mrs. Fenderbosh?
Thank you.
Sure.
Just so we're all clear, in the cooperation agreement, the Lorain County Entitlement Urban County Program, it lists number 6, and I'm going to read 2 of these. Number 6 says, a more rational utilization of land and other natural resources and the better arrangement of residential, commercial, industrial, recreation, other needed activity centers. Then number 8 says the restoration, preservation of properties of special value for historic, architectural, or aesthetic reasons.
Yes.
And that is above and beyond residential.
Yes, it is. But again, the activities, those are all contemplated at CDBG by HUD, okay? What I've said to you is that in the consolidated plan, we would need to specifically address certain things, okay? Because if it's not in the consolidated plan, we won't be able to do it, which is why we need that input, okay? So if that's something you would like to see the availability of for the business community, for other things, we need that input.
So hit the survey, right? That's what
Yes.
you're telling us. Thank you.
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Shamir.
I do have a question. Is there a cap per community on annual awards?
No, there isn't at this time. The cap, as far as the state's grant is concerned, it is just based on availability of funds and how many projects we have that were brought up. So for instance, in our award, the last 2-year cycle, that 570 that I mentioned earlier, if we only had one application for funding, and they requested, as in this case, let's say it's the Sheffield Lake one, they requested $250,000. Then that's it. We have to give the rest of it back to the state and say, no,
Mr. Shamir?
Yeah. So as a follow-up to that, structurally, let's say if you're assuming $700,000 annual revenues into this program from the federal allocation.
Yes.
Okay, so that allocation, if you have a number of communities coming in with projects, say between $150,000 to $300,000, is there a mechanism that caps that, allowing multiple communities to be awarded funds?
Right.
How is the program managed? Because it's very vague on the structure for
because
award.
that has not been developed yet. That is part of this multi-month process. We started this in January. It's not really going to be done until about November. All right.
I would assume that a framework of award and management, so governance would be the first step.
Right, and that has not yet been established. We can't get to that step, okay, of development in this process before we get the initial things going. HUD has listed 7 steps. You do them one at a time. You try to rush them, in terms of doing things. And they say, no, you can't do that until this is done, right?
So at some point, you will come back to us to tell us what that criteria.
Right, so, once there's a draft of the consolidated plan, we will have a public hearing to get input from the public, okay? So at that time, you can review the consolidated plan and give some input. That then needs to be considered, okay, before the publication of the final plan. So there will be 2 public hearings this summer, fall period around the urban county process, and as it specifically relates to the consolidated plan, there will be a public hearing when the draft is put out for public comment.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any further comments? If the clerk would please call the roll.
There wasn't a motion, sir.
Oh, okay. I move for the passage of resolution number 26-72. Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Mr. Koss,
Yes.
Mr. Reynolds,
Yes.
Mr. Shamir,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mrs. Fenderbosh,
Yes.
Mrs. Goodwin.
Yes.
That resolution has passed. If the clerk would read by title only, resolution number 26-73, please.
A resolution authorizing the exercise of eminent domain authority to obtain 850 Center Road, Avon, Ohio, for construction of a new water facilities, including but not limited to a transmission line and related water infrastructure, and declaring an emergency.
I move for the suspension of the council rule requiring 3 readings.
Mr. Koss,
Yes.
Mr. Reynolds,
Yes.
Mr. Shamir,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mrs. Fenderbosh,
Yes.
Mrs. Goodwin.
Yes.
Thank you. I move for passage of resolution number 26-73. This was discussed in the previous Finance Committee meeting and deals with the need for the Utilities Department of Avon Lake to obtain property for the expansion of their transmission line and for put in water, related water infrastructure. Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Mr. Koss,
Yes.
Mr. Reynolds,
Yes.
Mr. Shamir,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mrs. Fenderbosh, Mrs. Goodwin.
Yes.
Thank you. That resolution has passed. If the clerk would read by title only, ordinance number 26-74.
An ordinance authorizing engineering consultant services from K.E. McCartney and Associates, Inc. for construction administration and inspection services for Walker Road paving project, Phase 6, and declaring an emergency.
Mrs. Fenderbosh,
Thank you. I move for suspension of council's rule requiring 3 readings.
please call the roll.
Mr. Koss,
Yes.
Mr. Reynolds,
Yes.
Mr. Shamir,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mrs. Fenderbosh,
Yes.
Mrs. Goodwin.
Yes.
Mrs. Fenderbosh.
Thank you. I move for passage of temporary ordinance number 26-74.
Discussion, please.
Thank you. A council desires to authorize a professional services contract with K.E. McCartney and Associates of Mansfield, Ohio, to provide construction administration and inspection services for the Walker Road paving project, which we call Phase 6. This is from Jaycox to and through the Lear Road intersection. K.E. McCartney and Associates has provided a proposal not to exceed $81,728.02. This ordinance, if passed, is declared to be an emergency measure, the emergency being the necessity of providing construction, administration, and inspection services for the resurfacing of a highly traveled thoroughfare within the city. Thus, it's for the health, safety, welfare of the public. And it will go into full force after its passage and approval by the mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Fenderbosh. Any concerns, comments, or questions from council? Please call the roll.
Mr. Koss,
Yes.
Mr. Reynolds,
Yes.
Mr. Shamir?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Fenderbosh?
Yes.
Mrs. Goodwin?
Yes.
Ordinance 26-74 has passed. And I will call on Mr. Koss.
Motion to adjourn?
Please call the roll.
Mr. Koss,
Yes.
Mr. Reynolds?
Yes.
Mr. Shamir?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Fenderbosh?
Yes.
Mrs. Goodwin?
Yes.
All right, that concludes our meeting. Thank you, everyone, for your attendance.